This video shows you how to do an Italian bind-off in double rib. So all the knit stitches will be sewn first purlwise and then knitwise, and all the purl stitches will be sewn first knitwise and then purlwise. So we start with the first stitch, which is a knit stitch, and sew it the purlwise. Now we will sew the third stitch, and then we want to sew it knitwise, so we have to go from the back between the stitches and then into the stitch knitwise. And then we sew the third stitch, which is already sewn once purlwise. We now sew it knitwise and lift it off the needle. And in the same move, we sew the two next stitches purlwise. And then sew the third stitch knitwise. And since we already sewn the first stitch purlwise, we can now sew it knitwise and lift it off the needle. And in the same move, we sew the third stitch and we sew it purlwise since it's a knit stitch. And now we can lift off the first stitch, since we already sewn it both knitwise and purlwise. And make sure to stretch out the bind off and not tighten it too hard. Now we sew the first stitch purlwise and lift it off. And now we are back where we began, and we will just repeat these steps. So we start with the third stitch and we sew it knitwise. And then we sew the first stitch knitwise and the two next ones purlwise. And after some time, I can assure you that you will see the pattern and it will get easier to remember. And then we sew the third stitch knitwise, since it's a purl stitch. And then we can lift off the first stitch knitwise and then sew the third stitch purlwise. And then we can lift off the first stitch and sew the next one purlwise. And now we are at the last stitches, and here you follow the stitches and sew it together with the stitches that already have been bound off. And this is what it looks like once you've bound off using the Italian bind off.